Exedna Johnson, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Neil Smalley and Patrick Lowther. Say hello, Neil.
Hello, Neil.
And hello, Patrick.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Very good. How are you?
Doing good. I love the dad jokes. I love them.
You
They're the
haven't said
best.
one yet.
Well, I think that's what we'll do now. Is Neil and I will just kind of alternate them. So,
Sounds good to
You're
me.
gonna share the dad jokes?
yeah, just spread them around. Spread the wealth.
Yes.
There you go. So I don't know if you noticed or you knew this, but it is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And I heard somebody say that it is now a cybersecurity advent calendar. Facebook went down. Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, it is. So far, it's been a very interesting week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
7 days in, and this ain't looking so hot. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Twitch went down. Well, it didn't go down. Sorry, it got hacked. It's still up, but somebody else has all of the data. That was a big hack too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like I started kind of going through a little bit of the breach, like on some of the sites that have posted them, and there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm like, whoa. So who knows if it's all accurate or up to date or what? But
Yeah. Well, one thing that I found interesting, they had how much they were paying people for streaming on that platform, and the top 80 streamers on Twitch all make $1 million or more a year just for streaming. I was blown away by that.
Cybersecurity Chipmunk streams when?
yeah, exactly. Our goal, we'll shoot for like top 150, and we'll split like that $500,000 a month somehow, guys. We'll do that.
We'll figure it out. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep. So also was leaked their entire code base. So they involuntarily became open sourced. And also all of their red team toolings and the tools that allows them to pick up things in hacks to grab their code and stuff. So their tools for grabbing code that gets leaked was also leaked.
Yeah, like the stuff that scans for secrets and stuff that shouldn't be out
Right.
in public and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we talked about that a little bit last episode with like the GitHub secret stuff.
Yeah, we did. So do you think their tooling fired off when this latest stuff was posted?
That's a good question. Like, did it actually
It depends
work?
on if they are monitoring like the places that things like this get posted. Like, well, this in particular was posted on 4chan, so I guess it depends on if they're monitoring 4chan or not. But
do you think? Well, I mean, I haven't had a chance to break down into the tools yet, but I know a lot of people. They have custom tooling to monitor like their GitHub and like their Git repositories for things like that. So I'm wondering if that's kind of like what the tooling's meant for.
I think it's meant more towards that. I know there are like supposedly some threat feeds that claim to monitor things like 4chan or certain dark web forums and not, but that's a whole other ball of wax.
So good stuff.
Well, aside from Twitch employees having to deal with it, but
yeah, it's high alert days there for sure.
Speaking of hacks,
Are we talking about the Russian hackers and the Iowa Grain Cooperative?
I'm talking about the Epik Breach.
Oh yes, the Epik Breach. Well, there's too many hacks, Neil. You
There's
can't
just too
just
many.
say
There's been a bunch.
yes. You can't just say the hack and expect me to know which one you're talking about.
There was a book that I was starting to read. I think it's like Cyber Crisis or something by Eric Cole. He was talking about, like, I guess he regularly talks to like news people or reporters or whatnot, and they don't care unless it's like over so many 100,000 people affected these days, because there's like so many these days that people won't pay attention news cycle wise unless it's like a huge number, and even then it's like only lasts like a day or so. The overwhelm is real.
That reminds me of dealing with HIPAA guidelines for reporting cybersecurity breaches involving HIPAA data. Like you could get away with like so many records per breach without having to report to like the OCR
Oh
or
yeah,
anybody like that. I'm like, that seems kind of shady. You know, hey,
just a little bit.
we've only lost, 5 less than the number we're required to report. So we're good.
Yeah, you kind of wonder if people smudge that number just a tad. Like, oh, we lost one of our things. We don't know if it got stolen or not.
Well, so it's funny, like in the HIPAA world, even with a lost laptop, you have to still declare that to like your state reporting body, and then say yes, we had these safeguards in place. So things like full disk encryption and all that good stuff. So
That confidentiality of the CIA triad.
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Yeah, it was interesting. I had somebody ask me, like, so encryption, what's the most important thing I need to know? And I'm like, well, the quickest thing that will be useful to you for school purposes is going to be like CIA triad. Like, if you know what you're trying to do, then that'll help you know what you want to be using. And so I think the CIA triad really kind of covers that.
It's kind of interesting. Like as I was going through learning about that for like studying for the Sec Plus and the various CompTIA certs, you kind of think like, when am I ever gonna like really use this? But where that really comes down to like helping you out is when you have to take that and relate it to like either employees that aren't technical or C levels, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
like even like in your job as you go about like supporting people, you can kind of explain why you're making things happen for them. So it's kind of interesting that we came up on this subject because I was actually just talking about the CIA triad, triangle and stuff like that with a coworker. So Neil's leveraging the Facebook down to use the listening to listen on me there.
I guess so. That, or I'm just psychic.
Good intelligence ad data.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's all interconnected now. Do you have Amazon's new drone and robot in your house now, Patrick?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that would make life a lot easier for me.
So you want to hack him?
No, I'm just saying, instead of like doing the IntelliSense ad stuff, you could do the ring connected drone that Amazon's coming out with, and then it also has like basically a Amazon show on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an even greater surveillance network is now available to Amazon. But
Mm-hmm.
Neil's gonna hack it so he can, trip me down the stairs with it.
somehow I don't think I would need a robot to do.
Between my dogs and the robot, I'm
Yes,
done for.
yes,
Yes.
pretty much.
All right. So I'm going to pivot back to the Epik Breach. So for those that are not familiar, Epik was a web hosting company and also domain registrar, and it was very heavily used by the far right, neo Nazis and extremists in that regard. So some of their customers have been Gab, Parlors, 8chan, and the Oath Keepers. And so this data breach was, so they didn't have very good cybersecurity policies in place because their data was just in plain text, completely available to everybody to see once they got it. And when the hack was happening, the CEO of Epik, Rob Monster, he was going into prayer. He was saying that like if you read the data, then they're going to you're going to be cursed. So all of the data that is hacked will be cursed. The drives will burst into flames. So all kinds of stuff like that. The group behind this hack, it's interesting. They're called hackers on Estradiol. And so if you know about Estradiol, you kind of know what that group might be. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
It's kind of funny that we're talking about this. Did
Yeah,
you know that Rob Monster is the cousin of Rob Zombie?
no.
No.
I'm just messing, but, there's my dad joke. Bam!
Okay.
Oh no.
It's like, what?
Great delivery too. Just on par with the great dad jokes everywhere.
Uh,
So it's really good to be able to know what's happening in cybersecurity, stay up to date so that you can like talk with your customers about it and explain to them why certain procedures are important. So you can share like, oh, this happened to Facebook, this happened to Twitch, or this happened to another company. I don't know. So these stories are good to know about so you can educate your customers about it.
Yeah, that's why I like things like case studies on companies' websites. It makes it easy for me to go and then give an example to people who are like, what can I actually do with this? Or
Mm-hmm.
what might this actually help me with?
Yes.
so on the same theme of keeping up to date on the events, so you can relate it to everybody. Um, do you guys follow like any of the post data mess ups? Like say Cloudflare had a pretty good BGP write up on what happened with Facebook and what they theorized happened, and then Facebook came out with like a fluff piece, we'll say, about what happened with uh, their data and how they dropped the routes and everything like that. Do you guys keep up on those, like the deep dive analysis or anything?
A little bit. I glanced at the Cloudflare one. I was probably most interested in just watching the visualizations of their BGP routes disappearing off the interwebs.
So I will admit that I have that open as a tab on my Chrome browser. I intend to read it. I have not gotten to it yet, but I do sometimes jump into reading the deep dives into incidents.
Yeah, like I always love the deep dive stuff because I'm an engineering like person by nature, and I love knowing like nitty gritty details on how something works and like what like cascading failure happened because of this, this, and this, and what steps they're going to take to, you know, re-engineer the process to resolve it. So I'm always a big fan of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually have a few more books for my reading list now, thanks to that. I've got like the one with the mountain goat. I think the Riley one with the mountain goat. It's like I think it's just plain old BGP. Um, and then I've got another another one on queue as well. That's just like DNS in general, and really digs into that stuff. So I'm planning to dig a little bit deeper on my understanding on that stuff. It's definitely good stuff to learn about.
For sure.
Of course, the BGP book, like a lot of the BGP books that are available, like seem a bit dated, but I'm not sure how much actually has changed since like the 2000s, or
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, BGP's been around for a long time, but I mean, it's one of those things kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
yeah.
obviously,
So
in this case, it's kind of maybe broken.
yeah, so I guess it's probably not technically a goat. It's probably like a gazelle or something on the cover. I don't know. I'm not. I know a little bit about a bunch of animals, but I'm not familiar with all the different covers. But it looks like some sort of a longhorned safari animal. Anyway, came out in 2002, so there's probably some stuff that I could be better served by reading some of the more current Cisco. There's quite a few different Cisco ones to read, but for a good overview, the O'Reilly stuff is pretty good.
Yeah, I actually really like O'Reilly books. So when I was coming up as a technical person, I usually picked up a nice hard copy of whatever I was trying to learn at the time. So I still have my PHP O'Reilly book, my Asterix, which has the starfish on the cover.
There you go. That one's
Yeah.
classic.
Network Warrior is probably by far the most used O'Reilly book I've ever used.
It's on my reading list. It's also on my shelf. But I'm studying more of the stuff I need directly for the test at the moment. But it's definitely on my to-do list.
Yeah, there's actually, as we talk about it, Humble Bundle has a pretty good like ops bundle, like cybersecurity and ops. Humble Bundle from O'Reilly, so it has things like Jenkins, Prometheus, Kubernetes, uh, database reliability stuff in there. So whole bunch of like good uh, resources to get you up to date on that. So
for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I just want to remind our listeners that go change your passwords for Twitch and other platforms that you may have been hacked, and turn on multi-factor authentication. And these companies are going to make you aware of Cybersecurity Month with the Advent calendar.
you know what? Has anybody been giving away swag for like Cybersecurity Month? Because one of the best thing about like conventions and like con and like CTFs and everything like that, in person at least, would be like some prizes, and like a lot of the vendors they'll give away like socks. And you know what? I'm running low on socks, so I'm trying to. I got resources. I need some socks.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
MongoDB on TikTok will give you socks if you DM them.
Ooh.
Nice.
Do I have to have a TikTok account though?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to send them a message through the platform.
So I don't know what everyone else uses in terms of browser extensions, but one I've been using for well over a decade is called HTTPS Everywhere. So that's made by the electronic. Hang on.
Freedom Foundation.
Yeah, that thing. EFF. I always say EFF, so it's like most acronyms. If I only say the acronym, I forget the original meaning.
It's the Electronic Frontier Foundation, not the Freedom.
There we go. You'd think they would rename it to Freedom, but Frontier Foundation. Yeah. So anyway, they've been making this extension for over a decade now, and so what it does is anytime you request a website, and you didn't request it like with HTTPS, it automatically redirects you to that if the site has that somehow. Because for a while there, a lot of sites and things didn't really have HTTPS, or if they did, you had to like specifically type it in, it didn't just like redirect you automatically. So you would end up like doing a lot of stuff insecurely. And so like, a decade ago, before you had things like HTTPS everywhere, you could just sit in a coffee shop and see my password going over the wire. So that was kind of a big deal. Anyway, so basically they're phasing it out because they're like, okay, we have things like Let's Encrypt, and like most of the web is pretty much on HTTPS now. So they're phasing out, and like other browsers have used HTTPS redirects for years at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and there's ways to turn it on natively in Firefox, Chrome, Edge, and Safari now. And so they give you instructions on how to do that. And so I will have to do that because they're going to be doing away with my favorite extension, basically. So sad to see it go, but it's also good in terms of security that we're now seeing such widespread usage. And yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys leverage uBlock Origin or anything like that within your browser?
I do.
Nice. That's another good one that I like to use. For cutting ads and also blocking cookies and various
Yeah,
bits like that.
I think it's like at this point, like the way the web is currently, it's simply just not safe or like convenient to experience the web without an ad blocker these days. If you try to go to like any like run of the mill site, typically these days you have like all these different pop-ups and stuff, and like make it completely unusable without an actual ad blocker. It's quite startling if you've been on an ad blocker for a while, then going and trying the web without it. It's quite alarming. So
Yeah, I really, really agree with that. And one of the best things I like about uBlock Origin is the ability to add the custom lists and also the lists that are preloaded for you seem to really cut down on the amount of garbage ads that you see. Also, it works on YouTube, so
gotcha. Yep. Another one I just simply have to shout out is library extension. It lets me set my local library, and then if I'm on Amazon or anywhere else, it'll show me if there are any copies available at my local library rather than having to buy the book. So if you're trying to save money and study up, it's a really cool extension.
So you're saying it will tell you if a ebook is available to borrow from your local library?
Yes.
That's awesome, man. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yep. Physical, ebook, pretty much just about any format. Audiobook, etc.
Very cool.
I know we talk about Azure a lot. I'm curious if you actually had a chance to use this feature. It only really was announced back on the 23rd. So there's now a network security dashboard for the Azure Security Center. And so basically it looks like it's under Security Center workbooks, and then there's now a network security dashboard option.
Yeah, so little secret about the world of Azure is they don't release anything just blindly to the public. So that's a feature that's been in private preview and then a limited expansion to a public preview. And to get in on that, there's actually a link you can go to on Microsoft to request to have your tenant added to the private security features, so you can get like more real-time feedback on these things. So with that said, my private tenant that I have, I'm within that group, and so I've actually been playing around with some of the newer stuff that's coming out, and a lot of it's pretty interesting. So like what that actually does is it helps you visualize the data better that you're seeing within your environment, since it is a dashboard. So you're going to have lots of pretty graphs. What you'll be able to see with it is like an overview of your total network security and like any of the resources for your subscriptions that you have in there, right? And so things like, public IPs that you have, exposed ports. So if you have exposed ports on those IPs that you have, you'll be able to see that. So you kind of gives you a heads up to say, oh wait, hey, that's not in compliance with how I want this set up. So you can actually go back and, use that to tweak your security posture over Azure there. What else? Man, there's a ton of stuff in this thing. So
Anything that makes my life easier.
exactly. Then boy, let me tell you about ARM templates.
ARM templates?
Yes, Azure Resource templates. Basically, what it is, it's a JSON file that you can define.
Oh, so like CloudFormation or something like that
Yeah.
for AWS.
Yeah. So Azure and AWS, you can actually just do both Terraform on.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, and so you can actually use Terraform or Azure ARM templates to like basically establish a baseline in code of how you want your thing set up. So it's actually pretty slick. And what that dashboard, can do is let you know that, oh, hey, wait, I have something messed up in my code, so I can actually go back and tweak it to bring within compliance. So yeah, like once you get started with like the automation of things within the cloud, it's a deep rabbit hole you can go into, and it's super fun. So at least I think it's fun. Then again, I'm also kind of like a nerd who likes doing that stuff. So
Yeah, for sure. Good stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
Of course, Azure has its own training for like the network stuff. For example, I was looking at their network security ninja training earlier.
yes, it's very good. Speaking of that, they've just rolled out a new certificate for you networking folks out there.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the Azure Network Engineer certification, I think. Yes, Azure Network Engineer Associate. That is the new certificate that they've just rolled out. Like, I'm talking, I think they just rolled it out middle of September. So it's really brand new. And if anybody's interested in it, it's the
Yeah.
AZ700 is what it is.
Very cool.
All right. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Thank you.
I think that's about all we have for the show today.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yep.
Glad to have you.
All right.
All right. Keep
See you next
listening.
time.
And make sure you join our Discord.
Keep listening. Tell your friends. Spread the word.
So thanks for listening to the Security Chipmunks. And remember, if it seems overwhelming, just keep chipping away at it.